Good afternoon, all. Casey Durango here of Go Keto with Casey. And it looks like there are a lot of people here. That is so great. Please, if someone can let me know that you see and hear me, that would be great. I do appreciate it. And see a lot of people talking, but can anyone? Hello, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. And grandmother clock is chiming, so it must be time to start. Okay, wow. And my eyesight has just gotten to that point where too far, too near. Okay, lots of questions, and it looks like, this is what I love about this community. There's a lot of collective wisdom and there's a lot of support. So people answering each other's questions, I just love. Good morning from Lori in Oregon. Hey, wow, you're up early. We can see and hear you. Thank you very much. Morning from Breckenridge, Texas. Jacqueline Hitchin, good from the UK. Your chats keep me motivated. Well, thank you. Talking about it keeps me motivated. Can anyone in Patreon tell me if there is a private Facebook group for us? Hey, Teresa. Can anyone in Patreon tell me if there's a private Facebook group for us? Not with me. Patreon is the private group. Are you a patron, Teresa? I apologize for asking, but your last name is not familiar to me. Good morning from Surprise, Arizona. Good morning. Fried up bacon while watching you in the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. San Antonio. I was in San Antonio. I enjoyed it. Lots of folks from Texas. Between my blog subscribers and patrons and etc., there are a lot of folks from Texas, from Florida, from the Pacific Northwest, and a lot around the Great Lakes. Interesting. Love your shirt. I love being keto because food stopped being the boss of me. You can buy this shirt at my swag place. You don't have to buy one thing to be 100% successful at the ketogenic diet. But I've got mugs and journals and calendars are sold out, but shirts and stuff. And I do love this. The fact that food is no longer the boss of me is, I think, one of the great things. Let me get on to my topics for today. And thank you guys for answering each other's questions. But topics as stated, the winter doldrums. And I did just talk about this on Facebook Live. So if you were there, this may be a repeat and you may not be interested in hearing it. But one of the patrons in our private group, Nancy, during a video group chat, and I have about 7 of those a month for patrons at a certain level, and about 7 private live streams a month for patrons, amongst other things. Anyway, you can check it out at Patreon. She had a great phrase. She's been very successful. She's lost 134 pounds. She said, I'm just feeling kind of wintered. And that was such a great way, so descriptive. That just sums up everything, right? She's not putting on weight. She's not falling off track. She's not eating non-keto food. She just feels wintered. Now, granted, she's in the Northeast. It's been cold. They've had ice storms. They've had snow. They've had, they got their share of the polar vortex. But I will say have felt kind of wintered. So what does that mean to me? And I'll give you my personal experience. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am not a PhD. I am a former fatty who is intelligent, well-motivated, and well-educated on this particular topic particularly. I don't have the facility to do before and after photos here to screen share, but you can go to my blog and see my before photos. Oh my goodness. LMG beautiful. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. But the super chat is supposed to make you be able to ask a question that I can see after it scrolls up. So ask a question. Thank you so much. Or make a comment. What was my point? Wintered, feeling wintered. So in looking back over things, weight fluctuates. It does fluctuate. It's going to fluctuate for everybody. It fluctuates for everyone. Highly successful, more gradually successful, whatever it is. We are not mechanical devices. Our bodies retain water, release water, build muscle, lose lean mass, phases of the moon, hormonal fluctuations, who knows? But I have found over this time, I've been doing this for 5 years, that the end of January, early February for me, my weight fluctuations, I will tend to bump against the top of those fluctuations for this period of time. And in one of the group sessions, Nancy had shared her wintered phrase. Helena said, as we were talking about this, didn't we all go through this together last year in the group sessions? Like this time of year, we were all like, ugh. Again, not falling off the wagon, none of that stuff, not eating copious quantities. Just, and maybe it's deep in our DNA. Maybe it's hibernation. Maybe it is our bodies saving up just a little bit to get ready for the spring when evolutionarily we would have been more active. Don't know the answer to that question. And I think it's arrogant to think that all of medical science together would have the answer to all the questions. We just don't. I'm not part of medical science. There are no all answers for all situations. So if you are feeling wintered, I love that phrase, and you know that you're not deviating from the course. What is the course? Keep your carbohydrate intake 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. That's the protocol. There are no oils or butters or solvents or powders or shakes or supplements or kits or exogenous anythings. That's the protocol as I followed it and as I understand it working. If you're staying the course and you're not eating if you're not hungry, meaning you're simply not consuming more fuel than your body's energy requires, your body's energy requirements, stay the course. Stay the course. This works. It can be vexing when our bodies have a mind of their own, but stay the course. It works. I've heard from too many people and experienced too much myself to think anything other than it works. Okay, so let me put on my glasses and turn around and see here. When it's cold outside and I feel like eating a hot mug of bone broth with pink salt curbs my desire to snack. Excellent suggestion. What's your take on eating more carbs for hypothyroidism? Asks Danielle. I have no take on that. I don't know why that doesn't, where's the science? Where's the research? There are too many people with no thyroid, hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, Hashimoto, thyroiditis Hashimoto's that just follow the protocol and have success. No, I don't have thyroid issues. I'm not a medical professional, but I've heard from too many people to think that makes any sense. Anne Marie says, Casey, please clarify how much dairy is allowed in a day. Thank you for the question, Anne. First of all, nothing's allowed. This is not the rule. It's not the law of the land. But if you look at the food list as I followed it, the food list I followed, you find it at my blog. You're happy to copy it, print it, whatever. And there are 150 billion versions of the food list. This happens to be the one I followed. Dairy in general is like 2 ounces of cheese max, 2 tablespoons of heavy cream max a day. Now that doesn't mean have the maximum amount of mayonnaise and the maximum amount of cheese and the maximum amount of sour cream and the maximum amount of heavy cream and those add up. Ultimately, your fuel matters. I'm trying to avoid using the word calories because it's such a charged word. And I call macros the M word. But I can't call calories the word because that has a whole other set of connotations. You listen to your body. There will be deviations amongst individuals. But I put cream in my coffee, heavy cream, but I measure it. It's easy to over pour. A lot of people have been hung up by cheese. Cheese gets a lot of people, a lot of people. So it's about a couple of ounces of dairy. But again, try to stop thinking about what's allowed. You're an adult. Get the general protocol in your brain. Don't eat if you're not hungry. That might answer your question right there. If you're not hungry, it's zero amount of cheese or dairy or cream or meat or whatever it is. If you're not hungry, don't eat. So that would be zero. But if you are hungry and you're going to have cheese or dairy, whatever it is, that's calorically dense, and that ultimately matters. But if you stop when you're satiated, it will be self-regulating. Theresa Berthon, I have hypothyroidism, and it's the opposite. Less carbs is better, according to my endocrinologist. Thank you for answering that question. And pretty much it works for everybody. I go down the litany because people say, well, easy for you, but I don't have a gallbladder. No gallbladder, no thyroid, hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, Hashimoto's, postmenopausal, perimenopausal, premenopausal, post-hysterectomy. We all want a reason why something will not work. But in my experience, my understanding, and the people with whom I've spoken, none of those are relevant. It will work. Good morning, Sheila. I quoted you today on the Facebook Live, Sheila. Sheila talked about the pity pool. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and y'all are talking, so I'm gonna let y'all do the talking. The other topic I wanted to cover was pity parties. We are happy, we think, for other people's success. Sometimes we're envious for other people's success. Why does it look like everyone is losing so much weight and fitting into cute jeans, and it's taken forever for me, and it's just so gradual? Poor, pitiful me. Keep in mind that the people who are celebrating their successes are celebrating their successes. The rest of us, which is the vast majority of people, are not going online to post for every 0.4 of a pound we lose. We're kind of hanging back because we say, well, that's not so much. Although it is. We celebrate every 1/10 of a pound where I live. But keep in mind, those are the exceptions. But even if they weren't, just because someone else has a situation where things are coming in your mind more easily to them than to you, but you know that following the protocol is good for you. Think of it this way. If you were talking to a kid who said, it is so unfair. Justin doesn't have to study at all for a test and makes straight A's. He barely even pays attention. I study really hard, and I'm happy if I get a B+. It is unfair. Would you then tell that child, you're absolutely right. It is totally unfair. Just give up studying. Because that's not the solution. We're all different. Everyone has a struggle. The happy, shining, smiling people we see on social media, some of them are so messed up. But they're not posting those pictures on Instagram. Live your life. Do you. and ask yourself the actual questions. Am I feeling better? Am I off of medications? Do I have hope again? Is food no longer the boss of me, no matter what I weigh? We need to reframe success. And really, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It is really kind of unfair that I'm only 5'1", isn't it? My personality, I feel like I should be 5'10", but I'm 5'1". So I have to use the tongs to get things off the top shelf in my own kitchen. What am I going to do about it? I'm 5'1". Happy to be here. So let's get out of the pity pool, Sheila. I like that phrase. Let's get out of the pity pool. Sheila is a patron. She shared that in Patreon. I'm going to give a plug for Patreon. Here we go. Patreon.com/GoKetoWithKasey. It's a closed group. I do about 20 videos a month at the entry-level pledge. Plus, there's a closed Patreon forum, patron-only forum on Discourse. Up from there, I do multi times a month private live streams, private video group chats, and then private one-on-ones with me. So there you go. I struggle with carbs too. We grew up with them, 55 years old. Honey, we all grew up with them. My earliest memory, seriously, as a toddler, was walking around my house with a bag of Oreos under my arm. I was toddling around. I was the 6th of 7 children. My mother just wanted some quiet, and I'm sure giving me Oreos was the easiest way to get them. We all grew up with carbs. We're all screwed up. My father used to make me sandwiches of white bread, margarine, and sugar. We're all screwed up. We all are addicted to sugar because carbs are sugar. But it doesn't mean we're a victim to that. If I can do this, you can do this. Go to my blog, see my before photos. I was a round blueberry for 30 years. Okay? If I can do this, you can do this. Galina Vusic writes, hi, I'm on keto and I also keep in my mind to watch eating my blood type. I don't know about that. If it works for you, then that's cool. Frankly, I don't buy it. But if it works for you, then great. That's another thing. Do what works for you no matter what anybody says, no matter what Jillian Michaels says, no matter what Harvard Medical School says, no matter what some so-called keto expert says, no matter what the middle-aged white-haired woman standing in front of her fireplace says. Do what works for you. By the way, I'm no longer middle-aged. I am close to being a senior citizen. Sheila writes, glad I could be of assistance. Let me scroll and see if I can see some stuff. Oh, Lori Morse writes, I drank so much Coca-Cola back in the day. Haven't consumed any in many, many years. You know what? That is if you could do nothing else right now, cut out the colas and the juices. That will go a long way. Let me see if I can do this without my glasses. Let's see. Now I'm drinking Coke Zero, which I like and I can tolerate. Not everyone can deal with artificial sweeteners. They don't trigger cravings in me. They don't have any ill effect on me. And the same thing with my husband. Other people find that even the taste of sweet, even though it's no sugar in it, triggers something. So listen to yourself. Lori writes, thank you for believing in me. Believe in yourself, honey. Believe in yourself. Debbie writes, my mom made sourdough pancakes saturated in butter and then would sprinkle a spoonful of sugar. It's all sugar. Gary Tops calls what we feed children these days breakfast candy. And it all is. Whole grain, for those of you who don't know, whole grain, highly refined, or a Snickers bar, or a rice cake, or a glass of orange juice. It's all sugar, simple sugar by the time it comes out of our liver. So what are 20 grams of carb a day? What does that look like? In the simplest terms, about a cup of non-starchy vegetables maximum a day, not minimum, and about 2 cups of leafy greens maximum a day, not minimum. There is no minimum requirement for vegetables. There's no minimum requirement for vegetables, which means 0 is required. But if you're going to consume vegetables, that's where the bulk of carbohydrate will come from. About a cup a day, maximum of non-starchy vegetables, and about 2 cups of leafy greens. For me, I've pretty much gone carnivore, not for philosophical reasons, but because I'm consuming so little fuel. I'm always going to opt for fatty sources of protein first, because those are essential. Carbohydrate is not essential. It's not an essential macronutrient. Fat and protein are, because they contain amino acids that are required that our bodies cannot make themselves. An essential nutrient is one where you must consume it because your body cannot make it. Carbohydrate is not essential because our bodies can create the glucose, which would come from carbohydrate, ourselves, just with what we've got on board. It's called gluconeogenesis. So I'll always opt for fatty sources of protein first. And then when I stop, when I'm satisfied, by then I don't need any vegetables, if that makes sense. Thank you, Sheila. She's giving a plug for Patreon. Is almond creamer okay on keto? Again, I'm gonna recommend that you, Daryl, learn to fish. Here's the protocol. Keep your carbohydrate intake to 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Look at your source of food. Look at the label. I do total carbs, not net. I don't look at the ingredients half the time. I'm looking at the total carb count per serving. If your product, your food, is very low carb and it fits into those 20 grams, go for it. Learn to fish. Learn to fish. Look at a label. That's all you need to do. If you don't have a label, Google it. We can do this, people. All of us have reached the age of majority. We've been through much harder things than figuring out carb counts. 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. Bingo. Keep it at that. Thoughts on carnivore to break a stall? Thank you for the question, LG. We don't around Go Keto with Casey, we don't use the word stall. We call it a hover. I don't look at breaking a hover because this is the way I eat. If you need to reduce your carbohydrate intake to lose weight or body, don't forget, you could be so-called hovering for weeks, but losing inches. That is an actual thing. So we need to try to divorce ourselves from the number on the scale. It's hard to do. It's been indoctrinated into us. But our ultimate goal is better health, coming off of medications or preventing taking medications, maybe getting smaller. And all of that might happen before much change on the scale. FYI, if you are on medication for blood sugar regulation, insulin, etc., you must do this under a doctor's supervision. You must do this under a doctor's supervision. Do not reduce your carbohydrate intake drastically if you are on insulin for blood glucose regulation. Non-negotiable. Daryl, I love how you point out the light bulb. Thank you for being a good sport about that. See, for instance, LG, if I was going to go carnivore on purpose for a result, okay, so I get the result. What do I do now? Go and start eating food that prevented the weight loss before? Does that make sense? I've just kind of naturally come off of vegetables. Many people in our group have. Not for philosophical reasons, not for puritanical reasons. Like I said, I'm not eating that much fuel. I don't need that much fuel. I'm 60. I'm a runt. I'm way postmenopausal. I don't even have most of my female organs left anymore. I don't need that much. So I'm going to eat fatty sources of protein first, and I'm going to stop when I'm satisfied. Perdón. Necesito leer una cosa, ¿ok? Perdóname. Okay. I will allow that one. Butter, baby. Again, I love that you guys are talking to each other. Do you have the shirts for sale? Yes, Linda, I do actually. Go to CaseyDurango.com. That's my blog, and look into the swag section. And I'm going to be getting some coffee mugs that say this as well. Black coffee mugs. So they're on order. Throw away to see gigantic salad bowls. Yeah, we've been told that vegetables are unlimited food. Even now, I think they're like 0 points food in the WW. By the way, worst marketing change ever. WW, like WW1, WW2. Why would you want to associate your program with that? Anyway, I think they have, lots of 0 points foods. Nothing is unlimited. Nothing is unlimited. It's illogical. Ultimately, the fuel we consume matters based on our body's energy requirements. That just makes sense. It's not as simple as calories in, calories out. It's certainly not that all calories are created equal. But ultimately, if you overconsume fuel, you either will not lose weight or you'll put on weight. Very simple. Whether you're carnivore, whether you're metabolically damaged, whether you're not metabolically damaged, whether you're insulin sensitive, insulin resistant, male, female, old, young. If you consume more fuel than your body requires, you will either not lose weight or put on weight. Calories matter ultimately. Hey, Erica. Maybe we could stow away. Erica wants to come live and be my assistant. I would love that. I need a keeper. Okay, guys. Does anyone have? Okay. I am new. Hey, Real McCoy, I'm new. Just now joined the conversation. I had a question about what color on keto strips mean. Dark or better? No, dark or not better. First of all, there are those who will say throw away the urine test strips because they are ineffective. Some people say after a month. False, as Dwight Schrute would say. I've been doing this for 5 years. My husband's been doing it for 4.5 years. They still show reaction. The urine strips are not measuring ketones. So if someone says, "Oh, if it's too dark, you're wasting ketones," or "you're spilling over ketones," it doesn't even make sense. They're not measuring ketones. These strips were designed for type 1 diabetics to measure a byproduct of burning ketones in their fuel. Type 1 diabetics, it's a very different situation than type 2. The strips are measuring acetoacetate, which is a byproduct of our body's mobilizing ketone bodies for fuel. The darker, the better does not mean no. If you are not neutral, light is pink, dark is purple, there's acetoacetate in your urine. You are burning fat for fuel. Congratulations. Someone will come out with one of these strips that are like the pregnancy strips where it's either, yes or no. It is like pregnancy. You is or you ain't. Okie dokie. Don't worry about adrenals. Don't worry about your adrenals. Take care of your body. That is micromanaging. There is someone who will sell you an adrenal fatigue kit for about $140, I think. As Dr. Stephen Phineas said, There are people out there who are selling supplements to address conditions that do not appear in the medical literature. I think that's the way he put it. Take care, just get the nutrition right. The rest will follow. Food is not the boss of me. You got that. Okay, you guys are addressing someone's issue, and when people around us that we know would benefit are not ready to hear the message, we have to simply accept that. Probably everyone here has known for a long time that cutting out carbs helped them. But we have to get to that point. I knew it since 1977. 1977. I had one of the first books, Atkins book. I was in college. But you have to get to that point. Tia writes, hey, Casey, I'm in a 5-week hover. I am thinking to eliminate all dairy on keto. Thoughts? Tia, are you losing inches? If you feel like cutting out dairy will help, but if you're going to cut it out, be prepared to never have it come back if that's the issue. Perhaps just hanging in there. If you're losing inches, keep doing what you're doing. Helena, our friend in Patreon, had an 8.5-month hover, but she came down like an entire clothing size. And then Shauna, our friend, had a 6-week hover, and then recently just shared yesterday, she's had 9 new lows in 9 days. Keep with the program. And both of them said they made no changes. But do what works for you. Mary T, are you still losing? And if so, do you adjust the amount you eat to try to break your stall, or do you just keto on? Are you asking me, Mary? I'm pretty happy with my weight. I have bounced up a little bit, kind of this winter doldrums thing. I mean, I'm up at there's fluctuation. And so I keep on that. But my clothes are fitting absolutely. Actually, I'm wearing a size 6 right now. My husband brought me home size 4 Calvins that fit. So I'm okay with my weight. But I do find that because I'm older, and I'm getting older, I'm not getting younger, by the way, I need to be really in tune, and I have to not deviate from the don't eat if not hungry. I don't have much tolerance for deviation in that. I don't feel well. I don't feel sick or anything, but I just don't feel as well if I've eaten food when I'm not hungry, even if it's just a tiny amount. Trust the process, it works. Liz writes, I have hovered for about a year and figured out it's where my body wants to be. I don't have that much to lose. Sometimes we have these arbitrary numbers. Where did we come up with that number, that this is what we're supposed to weigh or we want to weigh? Arbitrary. Was it what we weighed when we graduated from high school? Is that realistic? Is it what we weighed the day we got married? Okay. Was that a magical number? How about we feel well? We can do things we couldn't do before, which I can do this. I can do this. One leg at a time. I can't do it, but one leg at a time. I can cross my legs. I can run up the stairs multiple times. I can get out and move, and I'm strong and fit and happy and not jointy pain. So where's the goal line? Does it need to be a number on a scale? That sounds like someone else telling us what we need to be. And I'm kind of done with that. I'm a little bit done with other people's opinions telling me where I need to be, who I need to be, how I need to be. See, I love this. I like being able to fit sneakers. I do this compulsively because I'm so happy to be able to do it. From pushing size, Debbie writes, from pushing size 22 to size 4 and 2. Never thought I would see these sizes. I'm 66 now. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. It is never too late to be who you might have been. Quoth George Eliot. who is a woman, by the way. Okay, I'm going to start to sign off here. Does anyone, before I sign off, have any direct questions for me? I'm not a medical professional. I can only tell you my experience, and I will certainly, may ask anything. Certain things I do keep private. But y'all are talking to each other, so you barely need me. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dara. You are appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, y'all are congratulating each other on your successes. That's just great. All right, I'm going to give another plug for Patreon. Patreon.com/GoKetoWithKasey. Patron-only content, which is where most of my time is spent. Patron-only forum, a very supportive place. And I've said many times, I believe people become patrons not to get access to me, but rather to gain access to each other. It is quite the community. How many meals do you usually eat in a day, Casey? I want to say this again. I consume fuel based on my energy needs. It's maybe even a mistake to refer to them as meals or snacks. And no 2 days are the same. And it doesn't matter what I do. Listen to your body. Don't listen to my body. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Stop when you're satiated. So if that means that a year ago, you would have eaten 3 big plates of food a day and finished them all, but now you have a plate this size and halfway through, you're satiated, listen to your body. I'll say it again, learn to fish. Please write a book. That's in the works. Thank you. Would love that. Loving your calendar. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Calendars are all gone. Keto and breastfeeding. Babies are born in ketosis. Breastfeeding requires more from the mother. So you will want to make sure that you have your nutrition, particularly fat and protein and hydration up. If I had to do over again, I would have been in ketosis from that hot date night of conception straight on through to today. Pregnancy, breastfeeding, child rearing. I would have been, if I had to do it, I don't have any regrets, but that's what I would have done. No meals, fuel when you're hungry. If that means a cube of cheese and a glass of water, so be it. If that means half of an avocado standing over the kitchen sink, so be it. If that means a cheese omelet and 4 slices of bacon, so be it. Stop when you're satiated. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Learn to fish. Thank you, Jets, Mommy. I'm messing up trying to maintain, but keep getting cravings, cramps, and headaches. You know, that would say to me, there might be some carb creep in there. You might need to lower your carb intake. Even if X number of carbs was okay for you before, you might need to shift that downward. Brilliant. I'd love you to write a book. I would too. Okie doke. Oh, muchas gracias. Dice que yo parece muy guapa. Muchas gracias, Esther. Coolio, you ordered a small shirt. Coolio. How do I handle social eating? I don't eat if I'm not hungry. I don't care whether I'm at a dinner party someone else has hosted, at a cocktail party, out at a restaurant with someone. I don't eat if I'm not hungry. It's not my obligation to make anyone else feel better about what's on their plate. And my friends know that I don't eat if I'm not hungry. Okay, guys. Have a good day. Hopefully, God willing, the creek don't rise. I'll see you next week. Thanks for sharing each other's stories and being supportive of one another. Bless.